Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. We're back again for another year. By we, I mean this is the first time I've been on the show in 2022. Kira, you're an old hand at it. You were on last week's episode, weren't you?
Oh yeah, it's like a rerun now.
That's right. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time, spending it with us as we go through the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. This is the time of year, January, usually things get a little bit slow news-wise. Everybody's still a little worn out. Everybody's still a little tired from the Christmas holiday season. And that sort of carries over for the first week or two in the paper. It sort of did this week, Kira, but there's still a few things. And I'm very glad the front page news came in so quickly. We love sharing this little thing in regards to the first child of the new year for Neepawa.
Yeah, no, it was exciting. I think that we got that email last Thursday or Friday, so it was just after the other paper was done, and we were kind of just sitting around like, okay, what's going to go in next week's paper? And then that email came through, and we're like, well, we know it's our front page now.
Yep.
So it came at a good time for sure.
That's right. Now, for those of you who haven't picked up a copy or seen it on mywestman.ca yet, right on the front page, the youngster in question. Congratulations to the family, the Prudente family. If I mispronounced that, I do apologize, but I won't mispronounce the child's name. Scarlett Bell. That's a great name. That just sounds so sweet.
It's adorable.
Yep. 8 pounds, 7 ounces. And just as you can see, Kira did confirm it, adorable. Very much thanks as well to the Tangled Threads Quilt Guild. They gave a gift basket, including that quilt that you're going to see on the front page as well, to the family. Congratulations, child born January 2nd, 2:04 a.m. Sometimes, some years, we got to wait a little while. This one, just right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for one of those years where it's like 12:01 on January 1st, the person that was like, oh, I'm going to have a New Year's Eve baby, and then it ends up being the New Year's baby. So I haven't seen one of those yet in the years that I've been working here, but I'm just waiting, just biding my time. It's going to happen.
What was interesting is we heard this story in another community or a city or something like that where there were twins born recently, and one of them was born in 2021, and the other one was born about 5-6 minutes later in 2022.
Yeah.
Like, that's a cool little sort of gimmick.
It's so cool. I mean, it's kind of funny because the one kid's probably going to grow up. You know how kids are, and they're always like, the small details, they focus on those. It's like, I'm a whole year older than you, right? So there's always going to be that little thing like, I was born a year before you were.
I'm much more mature than you.
It always
that
makes
5.5 minutes makes all the difference in the world. Well, congratulations to the family once again, the New Year's baby. We love to be able to celebrate things like that. It's a little bit of good news because there's so much other stuff that goes on, and we just get stuck in this treadmill of COVID-related discussions. And quite honestly, COVID-related letters and all that. And I'm sorry, I'll start the new year off, being honest. We get as tired of it as some of you likely do, if not more so. Oh, God, please.
Talk about something else.
Any other topic. Any other topic would be wonderful. Having said that, let's talk about COVID.
Wow.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about some things that came down from the provincial government. And one thing that's not on our pages that came down just after our publication deadline. We are recording this on Thursday, the 13th, in the afternoon. We go to print usually Wednesday. This week it was Wednesday, January 12th. 2 o'clock we send off to Killarney. At 2 o'clock on that same day, the province had a media conference, essentially saying, well, let me sum it up for you. Essentially, I'm sorry, and again, this is my opinion. It's not the opinion of the Neepawa Banner Press. It's not the opinion of NACTV, not the opinion of Kira, and it's maybe not your opinion. But maybe it should be. Because essentially what came out of it, in my mind, was they gave up. The province essentially waved the white flag in terms of trying to combat COVID-19. Now it's just about mitigation. And whatever your opinion on that is, whether you think you agree with them that we need to get past this, whether you think we need to go back into a lockdown, I think we're all tired of lockdowns. None of us want any of this going on right now. Whether you agree with the vaccines, whether you disagree with the vaccines, whether you think there should be some experimental things coming up, or whether you think we should listen to the physicians and the individuals we put in that position, it doesn't matter. It's just, I don't even know where I'm going with this, quite honestly.
I'm just lost your train there.
I'm just, because we're supposed to be talking about classroom learning returning. And antigen test availability. I mean, the province is going to be putting out these tests for any sort of teachers and people that have proximity to K to 12 students. They're going to have available access to them in the very near future. And my opinion on that, Kira, is about time.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it done sooner?
Yeah.
And as well, classroom learning. As of today, it's still coming back on Monday, the 17th. A lot of people got opinions on that too. What's your take on some of these things that are going on?
Well, I do think it's great that they're going to get the rapid antigen tests there. I think that they were talking about kids like even younger than school age for daycares and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that has become a real tool right now, because it had been, before this, it had been, if you feel symptomatic, stay home, book a test at one of the testing centers. But the testing centers have been so overfull that that's just not really working anymore. So that these rapid tests are very helpful. And I know that a few months ago there was the Chambers program where they could get some for the Chambers of Commerce for different communities, could get some for the businesses in those communities, and we got a few of those rapid tests here in the office, and it's been really nice to have those just on hand for those days you wake up, you got a bit of a stuffy nose or something, or you were hanging out with somebody and the next day they're like, oh, I'm feeling kind of sick, so they're like, oh, I'm better be cautious. So you can do that just before you go into work. It takes 15 minutes. So it's really nice to have on hand a little bit more peace of mind and that kind of a thing, especially for the schools, because the kids, there's so many kids in one classroom and it's sometimes hard to keep them apart and all that kind of a thing. So it's a higher risk environment. So it's very good that they're going to be able to have those. I believe that not only the teachers, but I believe also the students will be able to have access to those. So it's one more thing that will maybe give some people some peace of mind about going back to school.
Again, it's great, but at the same time, I still genuinely don't understand why it took so long for something that seems so blatantly obvious to be put in place. I mean, we keep talking about wanting to protect the kids, wanting to protect teachers, wanting to protect individuals in those schools, but it seemed like all it was talk. This is finally some action. Wonderful to see. But like Kira said as well, I mean, the Chamber of Commerce and the town of Neepawa were very proactive. I got to give both of them kudos on this. They went out there well before, and a lot of other towns were doing it, and they distributed them to businesses. We, as a business, were able to get them. The Neepawa Banner Press, we picked them up, and we've had to use them multiple times. Pardon my language, but within the last 10 days, I've tested myself twice. Came back negative each time just to be safe. But it's nice to have that sort of instantaneous, be able to sort of check and make sure type thing. Because Omicron, I'm sure people are talking about it in the coffee shops and whatnot, Omicron's waving through Neepawa just like it's waving through every single other town. We're chasing down some leads on some things. We hear the same things you do in the streets. Difference is, we just don't go on like that. We got to get some confirmations. We got to get some additional details before we roll with it. So all the same things you're hearing about right now, we're hearing about them too, and we're just as concerned, and we're just as stressed, and we're just as worried about it as you are. But, we're trying to make do as best we can, and that's all any of us can do. I'm just going off on a tirade right now because I'm tired. I'm pissed off and I'm tired. about the whole thing, just like you are. You know, but there's other things that we can talk about. There's nice things we can talk about. Let's talk about the nice thing first before we get into the garbage.
Happily.
Gladstone Golf and Country Club. They were able to have a fundraiser. It wasn't exactly the fundraiser they wanted to have, but they were still able to do something fun and unique for the New Year's Eve and bring in some money. It was essentially a fundraiser for the golf course. They do it every year, but obviously with COVID restrictions the way they are, they can't do major in-person things. So they were actually doing a takeout option for meals, and it went over huge, Kira.
Yeah, it's really cool. They normally have a banquet, so I guess this is kind of a take on that banquet. It's just you have the banquet, but at your house type of a thing. But it was really cool, and it's awesome to see just the support that they got, because they got donations monetarily, they got donations from businesses to put towards the food that they were going to be serving. They got donations for their prize raffles. So they were able to bring in over $5,500 just from this New Year's Eve fundraiser, from selling raffle tickets and from selling meals. And some of them they picked up from the Stride Hall, I believe, and others they delivered for people who maybe weren't able to get out or would rather have it delivered than go out and pick it up on a cold night like New Year's Eve was.
Oh my God.
So kudos to the volunteers who were out there delivering the stuff. They were the brave ones.
Yeah. No, and it was a great idea to sort of change it up, obviously, so that people still can enjoy and support in that way. We love to be able to talk about outlying communities as much as possible. Every week we have a page committed to Carberry, and we're very appreciative of Gladwin Scott for that. And this was a submitted article. We are very appreciative of that, because we like to think of ourselves as a regional paper, but at the same time we're small paper, so we can't get out to every single community in person the way we'd like to. So these types of things, when you send us this type of stuff, we love to share those stories. We appreciate it so much. Your good news, we want to share with everyone. So thank you for that, and continue to do so in 2022, because there's too much bad news out there right now. my previous rant is sort of an example.
Seeping back in. You just still are talking, oh, there's still so much bad stuff. It's still bad. Thank you for sending us your good news, but everything's still bad.
Oh God. I'm as bad as the mainstream media then, I guess. Let's go back to some of the let's not say bad news, but intriguing news. There was a letter we received in last week's edition of the paper regarding the Arden Post Office and some of the controversy and the situation surrounding that right now. Well, we heard back from representatives from the Arden Post Office. Kira, you were able to get essentially a response on that eventually.
Yeah, so I had sent an email. We got the letter early in last week, and we put it in last week's paper. And if you don't remember, it was about the postmaster that was there, and she was put on leave without pay because she wasn't vaccinated, and Canada Post has mandated that their employees be vaccinated. And then there was a bit of a kerfuffle. Anyway, so I had sent an email to Canada Post just to get, you always want to get both sides, right? So we wanted to get their take on it, what they had to say. To be honest, they didn't have much to say about it. They basically just confirmed, yes, this happened, and Arden Post Office is closed temporarily. Go to Neepawa for your mail if you're an Arden Post Office customer. But they didn't really have any comments on the actual incident itself. So I was a little bit disappointed about that, but it was good to always get that confirmation for sure.
That's right. It's a strange situation that the community unfortunately has to deal with. No matter what side of that coin you're on there, it's affecting people in that community. They got to go out of their way. They got to go down to Neepawa. They got to go to Neepawa and sort of take some time out of their day to sort of do something that should be a lot easier for them. I'm not in the rural community. I'm a townie here in Neepawa, so I haven't had to run into that circumstance yet. It's very unfortunate. It seems like rural Manitoba and rural Canada gets more and more taken away from it as the years progress. Not even just COVID related. It's just we're always the afterthought for the most part. And that's a darn shame. Some of this stuff could be very easily, I think, solved, but it just, there's no will out of Ottawa, you know. But we want to hear your opinion on this. My opinion matters as much as your opinion. Maybe it matters a little less. We want to hear your opinions on this. If you got a letter to send to us on one perspective or another, or if you have a different perspective on it, we do appreciate it. Like I said earlier, January is a downtime. There's not a lot that goes on. Usually, a lot of people are still just sort of tired from the holidays, so a little bit of help here and there would be will go a long way. Is there anything else you want to talk about in regard to this, Kira?
I don't think so. I would point out we do have one letter already in regards to the, it was in response to the letter that was sent in last week, but it also has to do with the article that we have on page 2 that was about that letter. So we do have one reaction so far. So if you're curious about what one person thinks, you can check out our letters page on page 5. But definitely if you have a different point of view, or if you would like to agree or have more to add to either side of it, definitely we are always happy to get letters. Keep it on the short side. We do have a cap of 400 words now that we're a little bit more stringent on, because last year we were getting like 1,000-page essays about things, and we're like, oh, can you please not?
And one other thing on that as well. We love your letters. We thank you for sending your letters, but sending a letter does not guarantee you will get put in the paper, especially when you send the same letter over and over and over again. I'm not going to throw names out there. I'm not going to name names, but come up with a new perspective, come up with some new concepts and bring them in. And have some information to back up those concepts. Once again, there's some letters we received that were information in there could easily be disproven within a few minutes. And, you know, certain opinions, all right, I'm opening up a hornet's nest right now. Back it up with something credible. This is really going to be a hornet's nest.
We might get some letters just about your rants today. Who knows?
I hate to admit it, but I'm already done with 2022 for the most part.
2 weeks in and it's over. We're
2 weeks in.
It's been the longest year ever.
Yes. Oh, God. They need some new hosts on this show. What we need is the original concept. Ken and Kate Jackman Atkinson were the original concept for the show. Maybe we need to bring them back in. So
throwback time, please.
Yeah. Well, as shows go on year over year, you know, the original stars, they disappear. They bring in the new cast. You know, they don't like the new cast.
Slightly downgrades the quality a little bit.
Exactly. Some of the good characters get turned into caricatures, like myself. I've become the Kramer of this show, only not funny. So
your hair's a little bit less wild too. So.
Well, I haven't had a haircut in a while. Give it a couple more weeks.
Then you'll be the real Kramer.
Yeah. I don't know how we got sidetracked here. One of my resolutions for 2022 is just not to care anymore. So this is just me being a little carefree. All right. Let's go on to some other items and some other news. And Kira, this is another one you tracked down in regard to the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce and something close to my heart, Neepawa Tourism. We're about to have our annual general meeting at the end of the month.
Yes, so I actually wasn't sure when it was happening. I'd forgotten about it, and then Ken was like, hey, we should do a preview story. So I was like, sure, I'll get on that. So yeah, I emailed Carrie McPherson. She's the president for the Chamber of Commerce. She sent me some details. So the information is there on how you can get registered, what you can expect from the AGM. They've got a comedian there as their keynote speaker, so there's going to be some entertainment. I hear there's going to be goodie bags. I hear that Eoin's probably going to be saying some things, so you might want to tune in for that in case he goes on another tirade. But yeah, it's good to know how the local chamber is doing and how tourism is doing, and that's one way that you can find out in terms of their finances, in terms of their plans for the future, and that kind of a thing. There is a registration fee. I did not include the amount in the story because that's normally a thing that we do with ads.
You can buy an ad. Anytime district, anytime chamber, you want to buy an ad.
If you want to say how much it costs, you buy an ad. That's kind of our unspoken rule. Anyway, but yeah, so there is a fee to register, but it's fairly easy to register. It's a virtual meeting, so you don't even have to leave your house. You could just wear your pajamas if you wanted to, whatever you want to do. But yeah, give that a read if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the chamber and tourism.
That's right. The last couple of years, Neepawa Tourism, for those of you that may not remember, may not fully realize, I am the board chair of Neepawa Tourism, have been for the last several years, mainly because nobody else wanted to do the job for the most part. That, again, that first meeting we had about whether we wanted to do tourism, I was an idiot and started ranting, surprise, surprise,
wow,
about how we needed to have some ideas and a concept for the community. And then somebody came up and said, well, you're signing up, right? It was like, well, since I just went on that diatribe, I guess I got to put up as opposed to shut up then. So that's how I got involved. But it turned out to be something very positive because there's a lot of great people around that table that have some wonderful ideas. I may be the board chair and I might be the one that's quoted in the story, but those people are the ones that are doing all the effort and making me look good, quite honestly. And I'm very glad that I'm going to be able to share those concepts, not just the things we did last year, like the Riverbend Makers Market, which went over huge, but new concepts that are going to be happening this year. Multiple ones. The return of the Makers Market, a musical style festival, an antiques market. There's a lot of these little ideas that we're going to be bringing to Neepawa. And we want to, the reason we partner with the District Chamber of Commerce is we want those businesses to take advantage of it as well. We want to be able to bring those 500 or 600 or 700 people that came from Dauphin or Brandon or Portage or Winnipeg, like they did for the Makers Market, and say, hey, if you like this stuff, go down to this store over here downtown. They have all sorts of things. Or hey, go over to this restaurant over here. You're going to love this burger or this meal. We want to interact with them. It didn't work out quite that well for the first Makers Market because this town, quite honestly, has a wait and see attitude. They're not going to support something until they know it's successful. Once again, 2022, quit Karen. But we proved it can work last year. So we hope that those businesses are going to jump on board for it this year or for some of the other things. But if you want to hear a little bit more, there's only one way really, live, is to tune in and watch the virtual AGM. And then, of course, stay tuned because we will have the story afterwards right here in the Neepawa Banner Press. So if you want to see me go off on a completely different tangent, and who wouldn't, then you can tune in on that. So is there anything else about the AGM you want to hype up there, Kira?
I don't think so. I did mention that there was a comedian. If you wanted to know who it is, Big Daddy Taz, if you know who that is, get your name signed up for this and give him a watch because I read a little description on him and it looks like he's going to be really entertaining. So yeah, definitely give that a read.
All right. Well, we only got a few minutes left. And like I said, it's a relatively short week for us, so we got to talk about sports, Kira, as you always enjoy.
Yay.
We got a couple of things that went on there. The Neepawa Farmers from the Tiger Hills Hockey League were able to play their first game of 2022, and they may have had a little too much holiday ham and stuffing and gravy still in the system because they got, you can't mince words here, they got walloped by the McGregor Wild by the score of 9-1, unfortunately on Sunday the 9th. But it's still good. They're still in the mix. There's 4 teams in their division that are sort of vying for first place right now. Themselves, McGregor, Carberry, and Minnedosa. It's a tight race for first place there. And the Tiger Hills Hockey League is a good brand of hockey. It's a lot of fun to watch. maybe it wasn't so much fun for Neepawa fans during this game, but it is a great brand of hockey. A lot of former Neepawa natives / Titans that are on the team, a lot of individuals who have played semi-pro and professional hockey in the ECHL or in Europe that participate not just on the Farmers, but all across the league. So if you're a hockey fan and you've never seen it, I think you definitely should check it out. We'll keep you abreast of all the games there, and hopefully come playoff time, and hopefully if the restrictions are off, we can fill the barn with a bunch of people to sort of see it and root them on. And as well, talking about the Neepawa Titans Junior A Hockey Club, their season has started up again. They had a couple games against the Selkirk Steelers. Last week, we talked about them winning over Selkirk. This week, we talk about them traveling out to Selkirk. And they only had about 170 fans out there to watch the game. And I'd love to say it's because of the restrictions, but it's not. It's because nobody in Selkirk cares about the Steelers. But the Steelers still care about hockey, and they ended up winning that game, I believe, by a 4-2 margin. The Titans are still in a race, though, for the playoffs. They're only 2 points back of Verdun for third place in their division, 1 point up on Swan Valley. So it's going to be a real race. Hopefully, Neepawa is going to be able to finish it off. Their record right now, this is the closest the Neepawa Titans or any version of this team, Kira, have been to like a 500 mark, the even mark, this late in the season in over a decade. So even though they're still got more losses than wins, this is the closest to even they've ever been this late in the year for a long time, and that's pretty good.
That shows improvement, that's for sure.
That does show improvement. You're right about that. But other than that, the Titans are going to be playing the Portage Terriers this upcoming weekend. A home and home, a game in Portage La Prairie, and then a game in Neepawa. If you'd like to check it out, again, 250 is the maximum capacity at the Yellowhead Center for any types of activities right now. So hopefully you'll be able to get in there and root on the team, support the team. And speaking of support, we thank you. I sort of went off the rails this episode, I'm not going to lie, and I apologize for that. I do. I sincerely, this was not my best effort, but a lot of things I'm just done with right now, and hopefully we can get back into a positive groove. And I apologize to you, Kira, as well, for sort of you having to sit here and listen to this.
That's okay. I mean, I feel like the more off the rails people get, the more entertaining the show gets. So even if you feel bad about it, it's probably still better for the show in the long run.
Off the rails is better than boring, I guess. Yeah, all right. And if you have any ideas, story ideas or suggestions or anything like that, we do want to hear from you. As frustrated as it is sometimes, we live and die with you. So thank you for supporting us. And you can continue to support us by contacting us at 476-3401 or through email at news@neepawabanner.com. Any story ideas, suggestions, always appreciated. And we're going to try and get to them. We may not be able to every time, but we're trying our best here. So thank you very much. And until next week, have a good day.